Well, welcome back to another edition of Zero Blog 30. I'm Chaps. We got Cons, Kate, and Nikki Be Good. Nikki the Good. That's what we're calling him on the Podfather Show. First of all, how do you guys like it? Do you like Nikki the Good?
I mean, it's
very
super
Italian
fitting.
feel.
Super
Nikki
fitting
does
considering
be good
his
at
last name.
Mm-hmm. He's
It's
doing
fitting.
a good job too. We're liking him.
Yeah, and he's good at his job.
Mhm.
So
Better than Nikki Be
fits.
Bad.
Although
Okay.
it is kind of bullshit that he's much more passionate about professional wrestling than he is the troops.
True. True.
Very.
But,
different.
but I would argue
I'm going to give him
that-
benefit of the doubt because that was his previous life, and he's only been with us a
No,
short
I'm not
time.
giving
I
him
think he's
benefit
going to
of the
flip.
doubt. I'm not
I
giving
would
him
also
that at
that's
all.
why
argue
I'm
that
here.
Pro wrestling is one of the most American things possible.
I agree.
It's
true.
very American.
And to that point, this morning, I came across there was a woman who wrote a blog about a blog that I wrote, and she lives in Ireland, or she was working for Ireland. Irish Central is the newspaper that she was working for. And I wrote this blog about 3 or 4 years ago, about the Irish president, Michael Higgins, who was president of Ireland at the time, and alluded to the fact that he was a leprechaun, but didn't have magical powers and things like that. And talked about his pros and his demeanor and how he wants to get rid of the two-party system in Ireland. And she wrote this blog, breaking down my blog, that was just absolutely hilarious. And it's one of my favorite things, content of mine adjacent, that's happened since I've worked at Barstool. So I sent it to my mom because she's very proud of having an Irish family and things like that. And I was like, hey, made some news in Ireland. And I sent it to her, and she was like, well, you've always loved leprechauns. And so she went to her closet and pulled out this stuffed animal that is a leprechaun. And it is the most crude leprechaun. If it's a kind of leprechaun that will legit give you nightmares.
Yes.
And she sent it to me. It's got these beady amber eyes. It's got the yellowy face of Bert and Ernie. And it just looks like a piece of shit at this point. But
Dude, I'm looking at it right now. It
Mhm.
looks like that's the type of stuffed animal that looks at you in the middle of the night while you're sleeping and stares daggers into you and scares you awake.
Yeah, so he's just got a little bit of felt cloth as the lips and a little button nose. And I used to fight this thing all the time. When I was little, my favorite pastime, like Nick, was watching wrestling. I didn't watch cartoons growing up. I watched WCW Pro, WCW Saturday Morning. That's what I spent my time doing. And then after I got hyped up after watching Sting do the Stinger Splash or put somebody in the Scorpion Deathlock, you better believe Tall Man was getting the what for. I absolutely came at him I would throw
Also,
him.
Spider Monkey.
That its
Yeah.
name is Tall Man is also very creepy. That sounds like an evil doll. Tall Man.
It does
Not
sound
me.
weird.
Leprechaun.
Looking back, it's a weird
Yeah.
name, but it's because when I got him, he was bigger than me because I got him as a toddler. So he was bigger than me. And I was like, dude, this guy's tall. He's tall, man. And so I would fuck him up. I had this long hallway, into my room. My room was at the end of the hallway. I would put Tall Man, and I also had this troll doll that had a hard nose that was also handcuffed. He was a badass. And I would stick both of those guys on my full-size bed, full sprint as fast as I could, jumping as far as I could to put an elbow on them or do a knee drop. Or, if they were really fucking around, I'd hit them from the top rope with the Frankensteiner. Nick knows what I'm talking about. It was vicious moves.
You had the precursor to the wrestling buddies.
That's exactly right.
Essentially.
Yeah. And then I had all those, and I would take my wrestling ring and make everybody smash in together. I think that was what really formulated my Marine brain, is being you have to improvise, adapt, and overcome, and close combat. You can't be scared. You got to go in there. Tall man's bigger than you. Doesn't matter.
You brought Tall Man to the Marines with you for McMap, did you not? You had him out in the tire pit, and
He was actually very good. He was a good sparring partner. He was
Right.
actually a brown belt with a tan
Right.
stripe.
Tall
He was an
man was-
instructor, not exactly a
Right.
black belt, but still could get the Marines done in some training. It was very good. We also have very good rounds today. We have 5 of them. Round number 1, a massive volcanic eruption. Nope, that's last week.
Last week. Another one. Yeah.
Round number 1. What in the hell is Havana Syndrome, and why are so many U.S. diplomats coming down with this illness? I've seen a lot of stories about this. There's not a lot of answers, and many people, including our own chief from Chicago, Bart, CIA is doing it to their own people just to get a little bit of intel.
Hey, real quickly about Chief. Did you guys know, and maybe this is something you all do too, and I sure hope not, but he has a sock box. He doesn't fold his socks and put them together in a drawer. He just has a box where he just puts socks, reaches in there, and just kind of finds 2 socks to wear on any given day.
Well, this is what I did in Cons. I know it's going to make you sick. About a year ago, I threw away every sock that I own and replaced them all with the same kind of sock. And so now I don't need to go through and match. Every single sock is the same. I'm basically like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
because I don't wear socks that often. I don't go anywhere. I wear like Crocs. I wear like shoes without socks all the time.
I was gonna say down in Texas, socks are kind of an afterthought a lot of times. So you're
only time
like,
I'm wearing socks is if I'm wearing pants, and that's
I
rare.
have like some weird sensory issues, and I can't not wear socks. I being barefoot makes me want to vomit. Having my skin rubbed or touched makes me want to vomit. Yeah, no.
I used to be very cautious about not wearing socks because I know that makes you think like big time. They were shoes, and I got them when I lived in Maryland, and they were orange, and they were almost made of like football, or not football, but like a baseball. They're like super thick like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Coolest thing ever. I was like, I love these shoes. I wore them all the time without socks because I didn't have the money for no-show socks, and that's when that first became a thing. And I was like, I'm not going to be looking like a fucking douche out here in cruise socks. I got to go sockless.
Right.
Next thing I know, I'm playing basketball in them things, and they start to stink. Then I go down to the beach to catch some jellyfish. Next thing I know, I leave my shoes and I never find them again.
That's terrible. And all because of no socks. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Anyway,
round number 2, we got some bus drivers, snow shovelers, and now the New Mexico National Guard is going to be some substitute teachers. Our poor beloved National Guard is taking it on the chin again. Round number 3, Russia is getting squirrely, and we have the latest from those nuts, plus your tax dollars that work outside the USA. We're going to tell you where the most U.S. military aid is going to beyond our borders. Very exciting stuff. We spend a lot of money in places that you wouldn't think that we spend a lot of money.
It's actually kind of interesting. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on it, and
we'll
get to it. Yes.
It's always interesting to see like who gets aid. Like some of these countries, I'm like, I got plenty of money. Why are you fucking getting money from us?
Yeah,
right.
It's kind of interesting.
Be like and I'm not giving any money to fucking Steve Jobs. I mean, mostly because he's dead, but I'm still not going to.
Right.
Okay.
Round number 4, a motivated warrior came up with a meme that will help every fruit salad carrying troop get a job that even Connor would be proud of, which doesn't include customer service. Round number 5, we have a rollover accident in North Carolina that was brutal news to come across the timeline yesterday, and seeing all those folks that are going through it right now, just a whole unit that is just, it's crushing to hear what happened there. So we're going to walk you through that a little bit. We're not going to spend much time on that, just really giving our condolences to the families of the fallen there and those that are injured too. I got a message last night from one of the guys that works in the Navy hospital at Lejeune. Yeah. And I think when accidents like that happen, automatically you go to the family, you go to the troops involved. But we don't often think about how traumatic it takes such a toll on you every single day to go through that. So God bless those folks that are working in the hospitals and doing things during a pandemic and then having to experience terrible things like that too. Just awful all around. Yeah. And I also have 2 surprise stories that I'm going to talk to you about that I'm excited about. One of them is a safety brief, and the other one I don't remember, but I do remember that it's good. All right. Now that is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Whistle Pig. And listen, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired with our sponsors. The fact that KFC Radio got to go to Vermont and go up to the Whistle Pig farm,
which
and
looked
we
amazing.
Didn't get to go.
It looked so much fun.
They have actual
I will tell
pigs.
You,
I know.
Yeah, they got pigs.
It's got to feed the pigs.
I need
love
some
the
of
state of
that
Vermont,
maple syrup so bad. I want that maple syrup so bad.
Yeah. I had no idea. This Whistle Pig has a whole mountainside of the maple trees and an enormous system of hoses. They get all their syrup right there. That's great. The whole thing is awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
Do you remember at the beginning of the quarantine when I went down a huge maple syrup phase? I already had my honey phase, so I was on maple syrup. And people were live Instagramming me while they were in their syrup house, preparing the syrup. Probably one of the most fascinating weeks I've had on Instagram. I absolutely love learning about that stuff.
You'll get up to Whistle Pig.
Oh, I definitely will. The fact and it's so weird that syrup comes from trees.
Yes, it is.
How do you chew on a tree and you're like, I got to put that on some pancakes?
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that you are so perplexed as to who figured that out. Who's the first person that said, "Oh,
Well, it comes
if we
oozing
lick
out.
this."
You gotta.
No, I know that, but you wouldn't.
Yeah, but
look
you
at-
wouldn't think to lick it.
I
Right.
would.
To
Sure,
put it
I
on a
would.
biscuit, like right
Yeah.
away. Like everything you see oozing out somewhere, you just go up and give it a taste.
When I was a kid, I used to eat honeysuckles because they had stuff oozing out of them, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
that's
this is
because it's
delicious."
edible. Those are
Hey,
delicious.
kids like Buddy the Elf walking around New York.
You're
just
not going to
pulling
believe
off
this, guys, but I
gum.
used to eat blackberries.
Yeah.
I love a good blackberry.
Okay.
And,
Whistle pig.
well, they do have blackberry. That was a good transition by me, even though it was unintended. So they have it in the, what is it called? Blackberry what? Do you guys remember?
The rye smash.
Oh, yeah, the rice
Yeah.
mash. Yeah, I love all those.
Oh yeah.
Let me actually pull up the ad read. I keep closing out the wrong fucking thing. Oh my God. So Whistle Pig distillers at Whistle Pig have cut it loose. This time they have the Pickleback barrel aged craft cocktail in a can. It's so much better than seltzer. It's crisp, it's refreshing, it's super bold and flavorful. It is very bold. I would say that for sure. It has a bold
Yeah,
taste.
it's very good.
And I don't think that there's anything out there like it. It has 8% alcohol by volume. It's 100% grown on that beautiful, beautiful estate that the KFC radio boys went on. They have it's made with the rye that's there. It's not like a beer. It's not vodka like some of the other hard ciders are. It's straight up rye. The fruit in the barrel aged whiskey barrels gives it a little bit of a whiskey note. It's fantastic. They have great flavors like fresh ginger lime, blackberry lemon fizz, session citrus fruit, and you can get all of those by going to piggybackricesmash.com for more info, and make sure you grab your box in stores. And one of the good things, I like the fact that it comes in a normal size can. I'm tired of these little fucking cans. Get
Yes,
the 8-ounce cans out of my face.
Right. And then the skinny ones too. Those
Your
feel
hand
weird in my
warms them
hand.
up too fast.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What if you split the money on like an Arctic little cooler thing that has a regular size can? You can't use that for the little cans. The little cans out of here. I only want the big cans. All right. Let's move to let's get going with some of the actual shows. You guys want to start with the surprise round first?
Sure.
Yeah,
let's
that's
do
a
it.
great idea.
Okay, so the first thing that I had, we have to update the safety brief a little bit here, because did you guys know that there was a woman who was hospitalized after eating 32 sushi rolls at a buffet?
So you mean like 32 full rolls or just 32 pieces?
32 full ass rolls.
Well, number one, that's impressive because that's a lot of food. I mean, fish goes down easy, especially sushi because it's bite size, but 32 rolls is a whole heck of a lot of rice.
Was she purposely going for some sort of record?
I don't know, but it says that she went to an all-you-can-eat sushi place. It's $50 a person, and I had to make sure that we got our money's worth, which meant eating a lot. Our dinner was about 2 hours long because we were so stuffed we had to keep taking breaks. She reportedly ate 32 sushi rolls, 4 pot stickers, 1 bowl of edamame meats, and 2 jalapeno poppers and a bowl of miso soup. You can't do that, and I'm gonna say you could do it at like a nice sushi spot. If you eat 32 sushi rolls at a buffet, you have entered in diarrhea capital of the world, because I would say 1 out of every 4 sushi rolls at a buffet is going to give you food poisoning. You eat 32, you've really checked all the boxes. You're guaranteed to get food poisoning if you eat that many.
Yeah, because also, how long has that been sitting there before they decide, okay, we got to take this one away? It's a little too old and gnarly. So she probably ate a few that were teetering on that line. That can't be good.
Grossest spot you've ever eaten sushi.
There's this.
Hey, you don't eat sushi, do you?
Oh, I eat sweet potato sushi. Sushi with deep fried sweet potato in the middle.
So no, you don't. Kate eats vegetables wrapped in rice. Gosh, weirdest place I ever ate sushi, or worst place I ever ate sushi, probably like those little to-go containers at some place that something like that somebody left in the refrigerator, and I was just very hungry when I lived with roommates and decided, whatever, it looks fine.
Mine in Japan, they have these dudes that go around on like these mopeds that have big tanks on the back where they can carry all their food in. And sometimes it was like really luck of the draw. If you got it when they were beginning their shift, the sushi was incredible and you were going to get a great deal. If you waited to the end of the shift, the box was closer to the engine of the bike. So you would take a bite and it would be like hot California roll with like mayonnaise and shit on the inside.
Oh, it was all gooey.
It was either, but it was really like truth or dare. It was either a fantastic sushi dinner or the worst shit you've ever had.
Kate might throw up.
Yeah, no, that's not for me.
If you're ever in Salt Lake City and you find yourself in Kobe Sushi, Man vs. Food. We all know the show. He did the Sushi Hellfire Challenge. I did it while I was there. I completed it. My picture's on the wall.
Whoa.
What is that? What's the Hellfire Challenge?
It was like, I think like
Eating
5 or
sushi
6
in Salt Lake City, I think, is it?
Yes.
It
It was like 5 or 6 rolls, and each roll got progressively hotter. And
Like wasabi hot, or they added a bunch of shit to it?
Oh,
too?
they added a bunch of other stuff. It wasn't just wasabi. It was so much so that I needed a glass of milk next to me to kind of quench the heat. That's how bad it was. But I completed it and got my picture on the wall. And that's really all that matters. Is if you don't do anything in this world, you might as well get your picture on a wall at a restaurant.
Are you impressed by people who can eat really hot stuff? Like the TikTok folks that just eat nothing but hot shit all the time. Are you impressed by that?
I feel like impressed is the wrong word. I think you just get used to what that feeling is and you make yourself numb to it. Like I also did the ghost pepper challenge. I think it's in San Antonio.
Mhm.
That one that was on Man vs. Food. I did that one too. That was for me, because I don't eat food that hot all the time like that. That was just painful. That wasn't even enjoyable.
Yeah,
I
all
did
my
it.
buddies, they used to do, people would come in for schools and stuff like that, like Kennel Master course, and they'd always want to go do it. They'd be like, "You want to go do the challenge?" Like, fuck no, dude.
Yeah.
Why would I
No,
want
you're
to
not-
shit my brains out for 2 days?
Because that's the other thing coming out the other way. It's just not enjoyable. So I'm weird that I like to say I've been able to do things, but it's not an enjoyable burger by any means. It's just so hot that you can't even taste anything else. You just
There's
taste
this one dude that's all he does is eat hot stuff. He has like 3 million followers on TikTok, and he has this block of cheese that has like 16 million Scoville heat units on it.
Yeah.
And he just takes big bites, and those like super hot chips that they were eating at the office, he pops those with sandwiches like they're nothing. Yesterday, he ate 2 Dragon's Breath, which I guess is like 3 or 4 times more spicy than a Carolina Reaper. It's like one of the hottest things in the world. And he ate 2 of them back to back and then took a bite of the cheese. And I was like, this dude thinks that people are impressed. And I guess there are. There's a lot of folks, but I can't imagine you have any taste buds left. You don't taste shit.
You've just burned them all away to where you can't even enjoy any food at that point.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to round number 2 or round number 1. Kate, what do we have there?
All right. Havana Syndrome. I'd never heard of it till I saw it in the news. You guys?
No, I have. I still don't know. I'm going to be learning about it right now.
Yeah. So Havana Syndrome, it comes from in 2016, U.S. diplomats in Cuba started reporting all these similar symptoms, like really bad headaches, yada, yada, and nobody knew why. And so many people, so many U.S. diplomats and like U.S. workers in Cuba were getting the same symptoms that they were like, something weird is going on. They started calling it Havana Syndrome. Anyway, other diplomats in other countries started being like, hey, wait, this is happening to us too. What the fuck's going on? So a CIA investigation has not found evidence that a foreign country was responsible for mysterious ailments suffered by hundreds of U.S. diplomats and intel officials in multiple countries in recent years. It grew to be such a thing that they had to do an investigation. Most of the illnesses appear related to previously undiagnosed medical conditions or stress, according to the spy agency. However, the CIA emphasized that the investigation is still ongoing, and there's around 24 cases that cannot be explained. Again, first reported by officials at the U.S. Embassy in Havana in 2016. Some of our toughest cases remain unsolved, said CIA official who spoke on a condition of anonymity. We have so far not found evidence of state actor involvement in any incident, but they have not ruled out the actions of a foreign actor.
This is impossible to know because you can't trust the fucking thing the CIA says.
No, absolutely not.
Like the regular Navy, they're like, oh, we had no idea the fuel lines were messed up. I'm sure you did.
Yeah, you just didn't want to admit it.
Those afflicted have described suffering from a sudden onset of ailments that include debilitating headaches, ringing in the ears, and balance problems. While we have reached some significant interim findings, we are not done, said the CIA director. We will continue to investigate these incidents and provide world-class care to those who need it. Meanwhile, some of those who've suffered say there's still many unanswered questions. I'd urge continued perseverance and patience, said Mark Polymeropoulos, a former CIA officer who was struck with crippling headaches on a trip to Moscow in 2017.
Oh, man, if you develop crippling headaches when you're in Moscow, your mind would go insane, dude.
Yes,
like you'd be on
absolutely.
Med, MD, whatever it is in Russia so fast, like looking for what's going on. I'd be nervous that I was poisoned. I don't think I could go to Russia right now.
No.
Like knowing all the Russian news, I would get there and be like, they poisoned me. As soon as I got off the plane, I'm dead.
Listen to this. It was so bad. He says that these are colleagues of mine who I know suffered permanent injuries who retired because of constant migraines. Like people have given up their jobs because of this. Senator Mark Warner, the Virginia Democrat who heads the Senate Intelligence Committee, said there is no question that members of the intel workforce have suffered from conditions requiring a medical response. So they're not denying it. There's definitely like something going on. He said the committee will keep looking into it, blah, blah, blah. Starting in 2016, a few dozen cases were reported by U.S. officials, mostly in Cuba and then in China. But as the issue received more attention and remained unexplained, the government encouraged other workers to come forward. Over the past couple of years, the number has increased dramatically. The CIA and other agencies never provided specific numbers, but reports now put the number up at near 1,000 people have come
Which
forward.
once you put it out, like, are you experiencing that thing? It's the same thing we talked about last week, where it's like lice. Where it's like, oh, maybe I do have a migraine.
No, it's like
you could talk yourself into it.
It's like people coming forward who served on Camp Lejeune being like, oh, you have cancer too? Oh, wow, we all have cancer. Like weird shit like that. The CIA found that most of the symptoms could be attributed to ailments that had not been previously diagnosed. We've narrowed the cases down that remain unexplained, and that's the ones they're looking into. Some former CIA officers and diplomats believe Russia was responsible, which Russia denied. Totally believe them. So I had never heard of this. In the 1970s and 80s.
Does Russia confirm anything? They always, every
No.
time we hear something from Russia, it's like Russia's denied just once. Taking some accountability. Like, yeah, we did it. Like,
listen to this.
We're bad.
Have you ever heard of the Moscow signal?
No.
So the Moscow signal was a reported microwave transmission directed at the embassy of the U.S. in Moscow from 1953 to 1976, resulting in an international incident. The U.S. government determined it was probably an attempt at espionage, but basically there's this huge building, this U.S. embassy. It's like over 10 stories tall. And from about a football field's distance away, about 100 yards away, Russia had a giant beam, a giant microwave beam going constantly. Again, from like 1953 to 1976.
And they weren't controlling fucking microwaves good in 1953. They hadn't even had microwave popcorn yet.
The microwaves were detected and sourced to Soviet forces. It took the U.S. 11 years later to start to shield against the microwave beams. And most of the people working in the building were not made aware that other sources in the building knew that Russia was shooting microwave beams. So how can you feel? How would you feel?
Your coworkers don't tell you that you're getting microwaved up. That's a bad friend. Like you got to do that. I think that's worse office etiquette than cooking fish in the microwave.
Exactly. And how would you feel?
You're cooking you in the microwave.
How would you feel if every day you brought your little Hot Pocket to work and every day you took it out of your bag and it was already cooked?
Fantastic.
Feel like you're going crazy. All right,
that would be saving a lot of time, so I'd be pretty pumped.
Anyway, President Biden signed a law last year that compensates victims of Havana Syndrome. So this is like a very real thing affecting thousands of
how much we talking about
U.S.
here?
diplomatic workers.
How much we talking about?
Yeah, seriously.
Because if they get more money and it's right away, and this only started taking place in 2016, and they got bumped up a line against the folks that have all the different burn pit stuff, I think that's wrong. You can't be looking just because they're CIA. You can't be giving them more special treatment. You got to give everybody their treatment.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, the CIA report raises a question about who might qualify for payment now, blah, blah, blah. Just interesting. I'd never heard of Havana Syndrome, and I absolutely believe I would not put it past fucking Russia, China, any of these motherfuckers.
This recruit has the Havana Syndrome. You can't prove it, like either, right? Like that's one you could totally fake because you can't prove it.
Oh, yeah, I think I have a touch of the Havana, as a matter of fact. The guy's name though, Mark Polymeronopoulos. Does that remind you guys of anything?
Greece?
Balky?
No, I was gonna say "What the Hell Happened to Me" by Adam Sandler, the song Steve Polymeronopoulos.
I thought you were gonna go.
But anyway, Balky also a good choice. Perfect Strangers. Could we pipe in some of that theme song? Because that was a great.
We can't. That's a copyright violation. We're gonna strike.
Oh, sorry.
Clem sings that fantastically. If you ever need somebody to sing it, get Clem to do it. He's
okay. Maybe can we pipe in Clem singing that? Is that allowed?
That might be something we could do.
I'll look into it.
Thank you very much. I love that show growing up. This kind of feels like when Jordan got sick and had the flu game and they gave him that bad pizza that was poisoned. That's all Havana Syndrome is. These folks just got some bad pizza.
No, I think I would not put it past these fucking countries to be blasting fucking radioactive beams at our buildings and shit.
Oh,
on
and
their
I wouldn't
turf.
Or
put
giving us
past us
bad
to be doing
pizza.
the same thing. Like, we
Or to
definitely
have
would
our
do
own
the same
buildings
thing.
have toxic water and not tell our own people.
Yeah, we
you know?
absolutely do stuff just like this, and we just
Yeah,
don't
but
know
I don't think
about
ours is nefarious. I think ours is just we're stupid. I think that there's a big difference. Like
Our nefariousness is in once we realize it, covering it up. Incorrectly.
yes,
That's
yes.
where we're nefarious.
our
yeah.
nefarious is the cover-ups. Yeah, very much so.
Anyway.
But if like the Marine Corps came to you, Kate, and they were like, "Hey, that whole time you were in the barracks in Pendleton, sorry, we were doing a little microwave goofing," like that wouldn't surprise you.
Excuse me. I've told this story on here before. Our barracks,
Mhm.
they were like, hey, super old barracks on the right near the beach.
That was a dynamite. Excuse me, I can't let that go. That was fucking
Yeah,
unbelievable.
excuse me. One day, they're like, hey, everybody, you're moving to a new barracks. You have to be packed up and out tomorrow. Here's your new room, blah, blah, blah. We all are borrowing each other's cars. It was like such a ramshackle. It was like all of a sudden you had to up and move. The next day, once we're all moved out, they bring everyone to the smoke pit and they're like, hey, we just have some paperwork for you guys to sign. Don't worry about it. Just sign off on it. And we all read it. And it's like, it's paperwork saying that we have never been exposed to asbestos before. And it was one of those things like, don't ask questions, shut the fuck up and sign the paper. So we're like, okay, we signed the paper. A couple weeks later, we're doing PT. We run by that building. Guess what? It's closed off for our old barracks. Fucking asbestos. No shit.
Damn. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not surprising,
So,
unfortunately.
no, not
but
at all.
But
Are you
it's
kidding me?
so bullshit. Like I had a conversation, or not a conversation, I just quote tweeted somebody that was a sergeant major in the Army, and he was talking about troops going to work whenever their kids are sick. And I don't understand why certain level of leadership in the military act like it's their money. Like how
Right.
does looking after your troops, how is that not always going to be good on you as a leader? Like if I don't even know what I would have done in the situation. Probably in the situation, if I was a staff NCO at the time, or cons you as a captain, and the colonel comes out or the sergeant major comes out and says, we need to do this. You do whatever you need to accomplish the mission and get them to sign it. But in reality, you wish that you would be like, don't fucking sign that. Like you still have a life to live.
Right, but we're not built that way.
We're really
across
not.
the military. We're just like, hey, cool, execute on orders and go from there. And there's nothing you can say. So
There's really not anything that you can say. So I wanted to, while I was on that little caveat, I did want to say what his tweet was about. So this sergeant major, he said, for everyone that thinks they deserve multiple days off without being charged leave, that a pass won't cover if their kid is sick. Show me a civilian company that lets you not work for days and still pays you. Unless you have personal time off days saved, you no work, you no get paid.
Barstool, I could name, is one of them.
There's tons of companies now that have unlimited personal time off policy.
yes,
And also, Sergeant Major, your entire job and career has been nothing but the military. How the fuck would you know?
Yeah, how the fuck would you know?
Like, what?
Tell
how
me
do-
you're a shitty leader without telling me you're a shitty leader.
Oh, and I think this is what I like so
Toxic
much about
head
social
ass.
media for military folks, is because typically when a sergeant major says something like that, there's nobody going to chirp back at him, like
Right.
in the or her in the formations. You're not going to chirp back at the sergeant major and be like, "Oh no, actually you're wrong, sergeant major." Like that's not going to happen. But as soon as he puts something out like that, immediately he's got like over 100 replies that are like, "You're very stupid." Like that's
yeah, and
not
I think that's
way
just
the-
human
that's the way to
nature,
work.
though, too. If you are always just saying something and no one ever challenges you, at some point, most people probably just think, like, yeah, I'm pretty smart. I always have the right answers. So if you never get pushback. So I think it's very helpful to
Then
have
you end
that
up with
social
the
media.
Afghanistan withdrawal.
Right. I mean, gosh.
Then you're
this
sitting
goes
in
to
your
a-
car in the summertime with your windows up, ripping huge wet farts, and you're going, "Oh, it's fucking delicious."
What is that? Bath and
Oh,
Body Works?
Yes, country
Warm
apple.
vanilla.
Country apple. Mm.
But Chaps, you're right. Like we've talked about this, I think, on like a bigger scale, just like how the military is all jacked up because no one's ever there to challenge anyone. And you just go along thinking everything you do and say is
You
right.
go from when you first start, every single thing that you could possibly say or think is wrong.
Mhm.
And then by the time your 30 years is done, every single thing that you could possibly think or do is right.
right.
That's the people around you. Like you go from being a complete idiot to everything that you say is genius and backed with wisdom and experience.
And I think in theory, there's some checks and balances that should work, between the higher enlisted and higher officers, a sergeant major check in, a battalion commander, and vice versa. But yeah, the higher up you go, I think that you see that less and less, unfortunately. But what are you going to do? Well, we can only fix so many problems at once.
Well, what you're
Right
going
now
to do
it's
is
focused on
if you're
Havana.
in the New Mexico National Guard, you're going to go be a teacher, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, I'm knee deep in it right now. My kid is off of school for a snow day. There's an area flake in sight.
That's
they
wild.
What was that about?
they canceled school at 5:00 yesterday afternoon. I think that the school districts here legit have PTSD from that winter storm of last year where it knocked out power for like a week and a half, where they're just like, we're not taking any chances at all. Everybody's staying home, which whatever, dude. Like,
or somebody really high up in your school district just has a crippling 2-day hangover that they just don't want to deal.
oh yeah, I think that's fine too. But we have this going on, and they had 900 the first day back from Christmas break. They had 900 teachers in one school district in San Antonio call out, in the Northside Independent School District. 900 teachers and administrators called out on one day. So they're looking for anybody who can fill in. And it's not like you're filling in to go in and teach geometry. You're filling in to essentially be like a YMCA summer camp counselor, where you're just hanging out with the kids. They're all in gyms and shit like that. To me, what's the point of you in sending the kids to school if they're not going to learn? Just let them stay home if the parents want.
Yeah. So the whole thing, I mean,
agree.
the whole thing's crazy. And then so many parents, though, with work, like they can't stay home and the kids can't stay home, and it puts parents in a terrible
I'm very
situation.
fortunate that my wife and I both work from home. So we have that. But the National Guard is being called in a bunch of different places, starting in New Mexico. Kate, walk us through what's going on in this story.
Yeah, this comes to us from the old Associated Press. First of all, I would rather go back to Afghanistan again and shit in a bag than have to substitute teach for specifically 6th to 10th grade. Any other grades I will do. If you were like, Kate, you've been recalled and you got stop lost and you got to go teach 7th grade. Nope. I'm fucking going AWOL to Canada. There's no fucking way. But kindergarten through 5th grade, I would crush. 11th, 12th, whatever. Why?
Middle schoolers are the worst, dude.
Oh my God. I remember someone who got bullied extremely during those years. No, thank you, dude. That's where my PTSD. Thank you. That's where my PTSD. But anyway,
that was Katie Mullet.
They would eat me alive. The first thing they go for is my snaggle.
Oh,
tooth.
you would get railroaded.
I would get destroyed. My gray hair, my snaggle tooth, my shitty second-rate clothing, my floppy upper arms when I'm writing on the chalkboard.
But they couldn't do the "what are those" to you, Kate, because you got Katie's shoe game now.
That's true. I do have cool shoes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Kate's really upped her shoe game.
Yeah.
No, I need to hear about this. What are your shoes now?
I've decided to start buying fancy shoes because I look like dog shit.
She buys trendy sneakers now.
Trendy sneakers. I follow fashion bloggers and I see what they're wearing and then I order those. Like cool Adidas, new Adidas, neon.
Go get a pair, Kate.
Shoes.
We'll wait. Go get a pair.
Yeah, I want to see what you're talking about. I'm
Hold on.
Fashion show on TV.
I had no idea this was going on. I didn't realize.
She showed me last time.
I just want to say I just buy like 5 of the same pair. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that works too.
Like
I go to Amazon and I say bright shoes, men clearance.
Big yellow.
Oh, okay. So those are Sauconys. Those are cool.
There you go.
Okay.
The Adidas Boost. Yeah. Crushing it. Katie, tennis shoes. So they wouldn't roast you for your shoes, but they would roast you for everything else besides your shoes. You're absolutely right about that.
Or would they roast her with the shoes because they'd be like, yo, look, Miss Mannion trying so hard.
By the way, these were sent to me specifically by the musical artist Trinidad James. He designed them himself. Very cool.
You dropped that knowledge on them on there, and the middle schools, they might think you're cool. And I bet you could go. Be like, look, Big Cap follows me on Instagram.
Help me get a Buick. Anyway, thank God this won't be a scenario for me because I am not in the New Mexico National Guard. But if you are, New Mexico is the first state in the nation to ask National Guard troops to serve as substitute teachers as preschools and K through 12 public schools struggle to keep up during the surging COVID-19 infections. And again, I can attest, if you listen to the last few episodes, this new variant, whatever the fuck it is no joke. I'm not kidding. I'm still shitting my brains out. And it's been.
Do you have COVID brain?
I'm telling you, I keep telling Pat, I'm like, I keep feeling like I'm having like out of body experience. Like I'm not in myself. I swear I sound crazy, but like I have scrambled brain. Like everything's all fucked up. I'm still whatever. I'm still hawking up a lung. Like that's one of the worst illnesses I've ever had in my life. Like there was a point where I was like, I don't want to take up a hospital bed, but I'm like, I feel like I need to go to the hospital. Anyway, so it's fucking bad. It's taken a ton of people out. Democratic Governor Michelle Grisham announced Wednesday the unprecedented effort to reopen classrooms in the capital city of Santa Fe and shore up staffing across the state. New Mexico has been struggling to retain educators, leaving teaching routinely to long-term substitutes who do not have full teaching credentials. Her administration says school districts and preschools are seeking at least 800 substitute teachers and daycare workers for shifts ranging from one classroom period to the entire day. They're also asking state bureaucrats to volunteer and serve. As a parent who toured multiple daycares, found the best one possible is paying out the ass for it, and still was so nervous and anxious and checks the app 500 times a day and is like, oh my God, is my baby in good hands? I can't think of something more fucking terrifying than having fucking unqualified strangers staffing a fucking daycare, which is fucking wild. But anyway, other states have worked to mobilize state workers and National Guard soldiers to support schools. Last year, Massachusetts mobilized its Guard first to support COVID testing on campuses and then to drive buses. On Tuesday, Oklahoma allowed state workers to volunteer as substitutes while continuing to receive their salaries. But New Mexico is the first state to recruit troops into the classroom. Members of the Guard will serve on active duty, drawing their usual pay. State workers who teach will get marked as on paid leave that doesn't subtract from their vacation. The governor said state workers are encouraged to participate in the spirit of public service and that no one's being drafted. The state hopes if you were born on December 30th, you now teach third grade. Congratulations. The state hopes to quickly deploy 500 new teachers and daycare workers.
Can we relax with deploy? I mean, my
Yeah.
God.
Wild.
That's a very liberal use of the word.
Listen to this. They can say, I want to do this. Say I'm a National
Even
Guard
the Air Force
troop.
is like, let's relax a little bit. That's not a deployment.
Say I want to do this. All they need is as little as 2 hours of training and a 2-step background check. School districts will decide whether the military personnel show up in uniform or not.
What?
Yes. Yes. You might have.
I mean, I guess if you're having, I guess I'm kind of for it. Like, because if you go in there, at least they'll think, oh, this person has a little bit of authority. Like maybe the kids won't be bad as shit. Because if you had a whole school, imagine when you were in elementary school or middle school and nearly the entire school was nothing but substitutes. Oh man, you'd be going bonkers in that place.
Yes. Yeah.
There's not enough math spreadsheets in the world to keep you occupied.
But imagine too being in second grade and you come into school and there's just a bunch of uniformed military personnel.
That
all
would
over
be
your school.
scary.
That'd be scary.
That'd be
fucking
very
scary.
dude.
My second grade teacher, Mrs. DeBello, man, she was this nice old lady with like yellowish white hair, very, very sweet. If one day I showed up and, you know, Sergeant Major was in there with his uniform all pressed and his boots, I would be probably in the corner pooping my little pants.
Also, I love the troops. Love them.
Yeah, you've said that before.
But sitting in the smoke pit, thinking of my own buddies, my own pals, 9 out of 10 of them, I don't want teaching my kid or watching my kid. I'm going to
No,
say
because
it.
what are they even
10
going
out
to
of
teach
10.
them? Yeah.
Like
10 out of
none
10.
of
fuck
them.
no. Fuck no. So Republican House Minority Leader
Science
Jim Townsend-
experiments would be very cool though. Like you could have some
Yeah.
Oh,
sick
for
because you
sure.
wouldn't be scared to blow some shit up.
Yeah, there's certain
Or what if you had
classes-
like a third grade class where you brought out some OC and you spread it on some pizza?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
I got to tell you, there's certain classes I could go in right now and be very comfortable.
Well, I'm
need
going to
go
tell you
gym,
at the end of
I'm
this
good.
what I would assign each of you to.
Oh, I love
Okay,
this
cool.
game.
Yes.
Mhm.
But Jim Townsend,
I'm gonna be the
House
janitor. I already
Minority
know 'cause
Leader.
of my beard and shitty tattoos. I'm gonna be the janitor.
Yeah.
Bring the wood chips out.
Sorry,
Somebody
dude.
puked.
Those are your choices.
Oh,
that
maybe
you've
shot.
made.
Whoa.
I was going to
Okay,
say that
let's-
too. Yeah.
let's
Is there
power
a
through.
more visceral smell from your childhood than the vomit chips that the janitor would put on the vomit when a kid
Oh
vomited in class?
yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't
That
have those.
smell.
We
Oh,
might not
it's
have
like
been
a
able to
powder.
afford those in Florida.
It's
Oh,
a
man.
no, it's a powder.
It's like a wood chippy powder that I can smell immediately.
Then
Reminds me of
every
home.
throw up in school is chocolate milk based. Every single one.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, the Republican House Minority Leader is saying she wants to be a hero when her administration does something unusual just to cover up her failure to put together a plan that works. They're not teachers. That's not what they were trained to do. Gotta agree here. Gotta agree. This is, we've had enough time to figure something out.
They're also not
And-
border patrol agents.
Also, this country, the more I read stories about our education system, the more scared I am for our future. That's what our priority should be. And it's like the bottom of the barrel. Our children.
We've
is
talked about this a
fucking wild.
bunch on Podfathers, how these kids, they're essentially missing like 2 years of good solid schooling. Like 2
Oh,
years.
absolutely. Yeah. This is not.
But even
not
before
healthy.
that, though, even before that.
Oh yeah, it's still not great.
My teacher
No.
friends, what they pay for out of pocket what the schools are getting rid of music and this and that and like all this shit. And my friends who are teachers showing holes in their ceilings and mold everywhere and whatever. It's insane. Anyway, even before COVID, I had a big need for substitute teachers. Now we've got the variant. In a more troubling case, the Kentucky House of Representatives is calling on Air National Guardsmen to begin performing physician's assistant duties in rural hospitals, including supervised outpatient surgeries, a job which usually requires over 7 years of college training. So that's insane.
Physician assistants.
I just made that up.
Dude.
Did you believe it?
I did. I mean, Kentucky, dude, Kentucky, you kidding me? Like that could definitely happen. Kentucky just try to get somebody in the army that fucking raped the prisoner.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
is true.
So, I mean, it's not like it's outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, the average teacher salary in New Mexico is $55,000, but a new level 1 teacher about $36,000. That's fucking egregious. And they're being just asked there's just so much being asked of teachers, especially during these last couple of years. It's just insanity. I don't know how they're doing it. God bless them. And holy shit. Anyways, chaps, you would be a first grade social studies teacher. Substitute.
Why?
He would make it all up because he knows they're not going to remember. And he would have a good time with it. And then like, remember when we learned about the pilgrims and we make little pilgrim hats?
Yes.
That would be his craft. And he'd have them make all sorts of wacky, goofy hats. And the kids would bring it home and be like, these are from when we invaded the Glebenglorbans. And the parents would be like, what? Huh?
I would just essentially make the Vermicious Canids real from
Exactly.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I feel like you would teach Willy Wonka as if it
Like,
was.
you went to war, Mr. Chaps? Oh, yeah. Who did you fight against? The Vermicious Canids.
Yeah, exactly. Cons, you would be 12th grade math and you would teach them artillery with a potato gun. You take them out to the football field and you make a potato gun and you show them distance and you basically give them an arty class that they
give a good safety brief.
Yeah.
Good safety.
Cons, kick off your safety brief. Need to hear it. Let's hear it.
For this 12th grade math class?
No, we're doing 7th grade potato gun artillery class. You got to give the safety brief.
All right, listen up right damn now.
Whoa.
I have one rule. Don't be stupid. Do not at any point grab a weapon without my supervision because you're going to hurt somebody and then we're all going to be in trouble. So if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Behave.
What about if it starts alive on the range? It's going to end up alive on the range.
Yes,
we do not fire at any wildlife on the range.
Yes.
And you got to know your left and right lateral limits. The left lateral limit is going to be your monkey bars. Your right lateral limit is going to be the school bus loop.
Yeah. That would work. I think I would also do history and I would just, roll the TV in on the stand as we all remember. I would just put up war movies and we would talk through them for days. That'd be great.
Would be fun. Like if you took it and you did like We Were Soldiers and then you took them through actual battles and like what it's about.
Yeah.
Like if you did the more realistic, you couldn't get away with like Inglourious Bastards in school.
No.
But if you went with like a more realistic one, I think that would be awesome. And then you could do like Full Metal Jacket and roast the shit out of the kids like your Arlie Army.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, everybody gets to come up. You get to roast one of your classmates, watch the profanity, but go for it.
Nick would absolutely be the best PE teacher because he'd be doing all kinds of wrestling and stuff like that. It would be great.
Yep.
I'd cut promos on all their jabroni asses.
Oh, yeah. And you'd have them fired up. For sure Nick would get them going. I could see Nick having the world's most electric scooter races, where you would sit on it and you would have and you would go as fast as you can through the gym or the cafeteria, depending on where you went to school. Just having those kids going races, that would be incredible. Nick would do awesome at that.
In 8th grade, I was, you got like rewards like most likely or Mr. What and Mrs. What. I was voted Mr. Phys Ed because I dominated gym class on the regular.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, you did have a built-in advantage for dodgeball.
Why is
That's
that?
not nice, chaps. That's not nice.
Oh, strong arms. He has good hands. He's a good catcher.
Okay.
Speed and precision. Yes.
That's exactly right.
And
all right, let's move on to round number 3, which today is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Cross Country Mortgage. If you're looking to buy a home or refinance a home, or if you just want to see what some of your options are, because I know that's confusing for a lot of folks that first get out. We have a lot of people that are listening and getting out of the military, and they don't really know what their options are, how much closing costs going to be, what the effects of interest rate are. When you first buy a home, it's legitimately one of the more shocking things of all time. When they pull out that form where you see each one of the payment slips and you see how long 30 years is, and you're like, wait, I have to pay to this thing for, like me, I just bought my house this thing I'm gonna be paying till I'm 67 years old. You fucking kidding me? I
Yeah.
don't even know if I'll be alive then. And
Yeah.
have this house. Cross Country Mortgage is going to help you through all those different hurdles, and they're going to make it a lot easier because Cross Country Mortgage has a team of loan officers that are dedicated to getting it done and finding you the best possible loan terms available. They have an average close time of 20 days, which is incredibly fast. They got a wide variety of loan types, which means they've done everything to cover. Even if you want to do one of those refinances where you pull out some of your equity to renovate a kitchen or something like that, they're going to help you do that. When you want someone you trust by your side every single step of the home buying process, which is always, you want to go with Cross Country Mortgage. They have your back from the beginning to the end. Just go to crosscountrymortgage.com/barstool so Cross Country Mortgage can take care of you through your entire home buying process. Cross Country Mortgage LLC NMLS 3029. All loans are subject to underwriting approval at www.mlsconsumeraccess.org. Let's move on to round number 3. We're going to talk about where some of this U.S. aid is going, because I think because the government spends so much money, even when you drop terms like billions or millions, nobody even bats an eye. No one
Not at
bats
all.
an eye.
Not at all.
Unless there's a Democratic president, then you do. But before then, no one cares how much money you're spending.
Mhm.
Right, Kate?
Yeah, and I guess I kind of forgot that we give so much money to other countries.
Mhm.
And it made me wonder, I should have looked this up. Like, does any other country give us money? Like,
Yeah,
does
it
anyone
stands to
else
reason.
give us
We
now?
do. We do
I was
get
gonna-
aid
I
from
think,
other countries. Yes.
doesn't China like own us pretty much?
And they also give us money, even though we have debt with them. It makes no
Yeah,
sense.
we have like a ton of
Money's
debt.
fake.
I don't understand any of it. But this report just came out by Katarina Buchholz. She's a data journalist, and it's a list of where U.S. military aid is going. These are obligations made in 2020. Of course, it always takes a little bit for all this stuff to come out. The top country who gets money from us, Israel. And it's
That's
is-
the most surprising to me.
because they seem so high tech and high speed and like they got their shit together. I don't know.
Right. Like they wouldn't need our help, but maybe it's, it stands to reason that because they have our aid financially, they're able to maintain that standard.
And this is in millions, 3,300.
Oh, it's in millions. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What's that? 3,300.
So that's
3 billion.
Basically
That
3 billion.
3,000. That one's
think it's-
3.3 billion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3.3 billion. Afghanistan's next with 2.7 billion. Then Egypt. I had no idea we were giving Israel and Egypt. I don't know where my head's, but I didn't know. 1.3 billion. What for?
What is Egypt doing with $1.3 billion that we
Well,
give
they
them?
are having a bunch of those things where they're opening up tombs, and I really like that. So I want to keep doing that.
Yes, there's probably
Okay.
tomb opening. Probably a lot of money for tomb opening. Iraq, five.
What's in the,
540
what's
Yeah,
our
but
tomb
I'll tell
budget
you
this
what.
year? What's our tomb
Yeah.
budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, if I start seeing some tricked out renovations to the pyramids, I'm calling my freaking congressman.
Oh, you
Yes,
think
thank
if you
you.
think doing renovations in New York is difficult, try getting
Yeah.
into a fucking pyramid.
Seriously.
Well, they're all going open concept now,
Exactly.
which
right.
is ridiculous.
And I'm
um,
so sick of the Art Deco phase over there. Just
But
mhm.
then
Yeah,
Iraq,
get over yourselves.
Jordan, Ukraine, Lebanon, and Somalia follow that up with the top places where our military aid is going.
I'd have
Again,
never guessed Jordan.
me
No.
neither. Or
I guess all the stuff the Jordanians definitely do a lot for. They did a lot for the combating ISIS for sure.
But yeah, and
Mhm.
Ukraine obviously just popped up on the list. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony.
Anthony.
I thought it was Anthony.
No, he's
Yeah.
like the guy from Queer Eye.
Fancy.
friends call him Aunt.
Aunt
Mhm.
Blinken, old
Mhm.
Aunt Blinken ass, confirmed an additional 200 million in defense security assistance to the Ukraine during his visit. Blinken met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Wednesday amid growing tension that Russia, obviously, they have like 100,000 troops on the border. They're bringing more. And Biden said today, right? Like, hey,
Yesterday.
pretty sure Russia's about to fucking invade and do whatever. Anyway, in 2020, the latest available year, Ukraine was already high on the list. That year they received 284 million. The additional 200 million. Oh, so this is on top of that, was approved in 2021. So I had no idea. You can go to foreignassistance.gov and a map of the world pops up and you can click on pretty much any country and will tell you how much money we're giving them and a vague reason why. So we've got $51 billion of obligations in 212 countries around the world for 11,000 different reasons, ranging from
Tell you
peace and
what.
security to health to multi-sector, whatever that means. So then I was like, oh, you can click and see exactly where your money's going, but you can't. They keep it pretty vague. But I just thought that was interesting. I didn't know you could like Click on a
Have you
map and
guys,
see.
speaking of that website, and that is interesting to see where all the money goes, because you hear them bitching about different social programs here in the United States, like, oh, I don't know, getting people health care or getting even veterans, getting them to be able to see a dentist at the fucking VA. That's impossible, but we're spending $50 billion somewhere else on dumb shit that doesn't even matter. But there's another website. It's called the Freedom Index. Have you guys ever looked at that? Have you ever seen the Freedom? It's a like an offshoot of the UN, I guess, like one of those think tanks, and they look at all the different countries, and they have certain criteria where they will go through it and attach like a how free you actually are. And we always talk about like America, home of the free. America, very, very low on
Very prisony.
very low. The
prisony.
most incarcerated country in the world by far per capita. And like going through some of the other things, it's like, whoa, dude, like I had no idea. Denmark, pretty damn free.
That's good to know if I ever want to get more free.
It's, I mean, if you look at it, Cons, go look at it. I promise you, after it's over, it'll blow your mind. Like the different things that goes on. Maybe we'll do a round on that on Tuesday. Like, see, why can America be more free?
Yeah.
By the troops.
That's something worth looking into. But I'll tell you what, there should be an unwritten law. If we give you money as a country, you cannot publicly say anything bad about us.
Oh, I agree with
like,
that.
You know, like if you're growing up, your parents give you money, like you can't shit talk your parents.
Oh,
so same deal here.
You can.
Well, do it behind their back quietly with your friends. Like, you know, like Jordan, go talk to Egypt if you have a problem with us, but don't tell us, don't tell the world like, oh, the US is doing this, that,
or at least you have to do like what you do whenever you give an after action report. You have to do 2 ups and 1 down.
Yes.
Like if you're going to give something negative, you have to give me something positive too.
Yeah.
Be like, you guys draw on people way too much, but Kansas is also lovely despite the tornadoes.
I also
like,
think you should have to
thing.
send your country's best dessert. Everybody gets one. You know, like a little,
I'm okay with that
snack, little treat.
And then the other thing,
I'm so sick of baklava. I'm just sick
no
of it.
way. I'll eat it till I throw up.
Pistachio?
Love it.
no, I could take it. I could take or leave baklava. I'm okay with that.
Cons.
Last thing I'll say about this story, Blinken, he's a handsome fella. He's got a head of lettuce that would make freaking Brad Pitt blush.
He's kind of a bitch though.
Yeah, a little bit, but
I hate him.
I will say this.
I hate him.
Would you all agree that it should be a prerequisite for our Secretary of State, you know, beyond the president? That's kind of like our face to the rest of the world person, you know, they go talk to the UN and visit countries all over. Do you think it should be a prerequisite that our Secretary of State should be an attractive person? Like,
I'll go a step further. I think that they should be over 6'4" and should always wear cowboy boots.
I'm okay with that.
You walk into a group, like, let's say you're having a meeting in Geneva. You walk in, our Secretary of State is 6'6", and he's wearing cowboy boots, or she is 6'6" too. She's wearing cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, like a Weston, and has a bolo tie
with a
and
scorpion.
walks in and be like, listen, Poland, what the fuck are we doing here? I think
they have to dip. They have to dip.
Yeah, and like, I'm sorry, like not to speak ill of the dead. I don't know if he's still alive or dead, but like Kissinger walks in the room, they're like, who's this nerd? You know? Hey, a smart guy. I get it. A lot of contributions. Thank you for your
can
service.
you fact check that if Henry Kissinger is dead? I think he is.
But you know, like that's not striking the fear of God into the rest of the world. So I think we need to put some more parameters around Secretary of State.
Just based on appearance alone, ideal Secretary of State. Because it can't be somebody too young. You have to have somebody a little bit weathered.
Oh yeah, you're 48. You're 6'4", chiseled jaw, male or female. And these height standards, I will lower them a little if you're female, just because naturally females, I don't think get as high as 6'4" as frequent. So at least 6 foot as a female, dude. What I'll tell you, a 5'11", 6 foot female in heels. Watch out.
That's CJ Craig.
Yeah, CJ Craig. There's
who do you want, Kate?
Who?
Coming in badass with a dip-in bolo tie, cowboy. Halle Berry.
Oh yeah, Halle Berry. Okay.
She
55 years old and gorgeous.
Kicks her boots up on the table.
Kate, Nick, did we figure out if Henry Kissinger was dead?
Still alive, 98.
Oh wow.
Oh, all right. So sorry, Mr. Kissinger. I guess I just torpedoed any chance he's coming on CBT. Nevertheless,
the first, and when I put in his name, that was the first question that populated on Google. Is he alive? So we're not the only ones looking for him.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I feel like we had a good run in the early 2000s with Bush between General Powell and then Condoleezza Rice. That was a power partnership right there back to back.
I know he's got some problematic things in his past for sure, but somebody that looks like Karl Malone walking into a meeting, like Karl Malone, thick thighs, country dude, you know, he spent some time on a horse. Like, I think that would get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Also,
definitely some
side note, Cons, how do you feel about the offensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers?
Who is that off the top of my head?
He looks like he's about 5'9", skinny dude. Went to Yale.
Mike McDaniel.
Mhm.
He looks like a nerd, but he's probably.
Do you think that people? I guess they do. He's offensive coordinator, very successful. But if you get to the point where you're an offensive coordinator and you look like that, and people who are pro NFL players are respecting what you say on a football field, you really know your shit.
That's exactly right. Because as progressive as we are as a society, and it's 2022,
easy for Jared Mayo to be a coach because he did it.
Yes. But in the game of football, guys will still just look at people and pass judgment. I think that's just natural, especially for football. It's just one of those things that's
the reason why Tom Brady went in the 6th round.
Yeah.
Speaking of appearances and passing judgment.
Yeah,
Tom Brady,
keep going.
Tom Brady, he'd be an excellent Secretary of State.
Boring.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. No, I agree.
Anyway.
Or Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
All right, Kate, what do we got?
Round number 4.
Yeah.
Everybody was roasting this. People always say, try and figure out how your service translates to a resume so that when you get out in the civilian world, you can find a job. And most of the time, I feel like it's all bullshit unless you're an officer and you've actually been whatever. I feel like the rules don't apply the same for. So somebody came out with this chart called Ribbons to Resume. Does your resume reflect the qualities you demonstrated in the military and bring them to the private sector? So basically, it shows a bunch of different ribbons. And then here's what, if you have this ribbon, here's what you can put on your resume. So valor and heroism equals willingness to go above and beyond. And that's if you have your.
What is that, Kate? Don't it?
Everybody gets one. If you join during a time of war, global war on terrorism, right? GWAT.
Oh, I thought we were going to go from top to bottom on this sheet.
Oh, pardon me. Oh, go ahead. I don't know what any of these are. I'm Katie.
Oh man, that's what my game was going to be. You just admitted. I was going to see if you actually knew what any of these were.
No idea what the fuck any of these are. I can't. If you ask me to tell you what ribbons I have right now, I don't remember any of them.
Oh, let's do that then. Let's give it a go.
I haven't looked at that shit in forever. No,
Okay, tell me what you got off the top of your head. Which ones you got? I know you got the Afghanistan campaign medal.
A good cookie, a GWAT. I don't fucking know. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so this one, they start out. Cons, you know what the top one is?
No, I don't.
That one is the Navy and Marine Corps medal. Is the first one.
So I get a pass on that.
You do. And what that one is for, it's essentially the same thing as a Bronze Star. It's the same level as a Bronze Star, but it's in a non-deployed area is where you would get that. It's the same type of accomplishment but for a non-deployed area is where you have it. And they said if you get that, it's for valor and heroism, which on a resume, you would put willingness to go above and beyond is what they would say that you would put there. And I don't really know if that's true. Like, I think that there's some of these that I think are spot on where you can say that it applies. Like the one on the very bottom of the sheet is a drill instructor ribbon is what it is. And it says that you have the ability to teach or train and mentor others. Absolutely. Like if you go through and you're an instructor and you go to instructor school, shit, I would put that on mine because I was an instructor and passed the instructor course and did that. I think that you have the ability to teach. I have no problem with that one. The overseas service, willingness to travel. I mean, sure. Like I think that qualifies there. I think you could put that, but I don't know if you actually need a military medal to prove it. You could just say, I'm willing to travel for this job. I don't know if any job would be like, we want to hire you, but we need you to prove that you're willing to travel.
Yeah.
Go to Chile right now.
I feel like they should say willingness to travel if you know you'll get court-martialed if you do not, you know?
Yeah, willing to travel to an area that's most likely going to be very shitty. And you could say that you've been to this country, but never actually experienced any of the cultural or the pleasures that are involved, which is a lot of times what you get when you get an overseas service medal. Next up, humanitarian service, that you're compassionate and that you are public service minded. I don't got a problem with that one either.
No, I think that's a good one for one.
I think anyone who's done humanitarian service, it's like eye-opening and life-changing for sure. I think that definitely counts towards life experience.
The next one, and they actually did this for me at UTSA with a class. They say that the foreign campaign service, Like whenever you go overseas they have here, it's Iraq, Afghanistan, but really any deployed area that you are going to be immersed in a different culture. And UTSA actually waived the foreign language portion of my degree program because I did this. And it was because I went and talked to him and be like, look, I have a brain injury. I will never, ever, no matter how many times I've taken it, which has been 3 so far, I will never pass Spanish. Please just let me go.
Please let me go.
Please, for the love of God.
And the dean of the communication school was like, nah, okay, fine.
All right.
Fordham let me skip math. I was like, I don't have a reason.
What?
I was like, I don't have a reason, but I am so dumb. And they were like, all right, you sir.
I actually had Annalise do my college algebra.
That's smart. So
Big
I wish
time.
I could. I wish I got
couldn't.
to skip classes.
Oh, you did. You played football.
No,
You
I
got that on
didn't.
stuff. You got
No, I did
I've
not.
seen the reports on that, Cons. I've seen
Baloney,
the
mister.
IG
I had to take
reports.
no.
Cheater
dude, I had to
cons,
take
back at
all
it
the
again.
same classes.
Disgusting.
I had to
Just
take all the same
terrible.
classes.
I get
No way.
If I had a nickel for every single one of Cons' classmates that said that he was known for being an academic cheater, I'd have at least 15 cents.
I cannot believe you just said that. I cannot believe that. That's
All right,
terrible.
next up, good conduct, that you act appropriate and follow rules. We're being real fast and loose with how valuable the good cookie is, I think. Like you're fine for.
I know
for
so many
3
pieces
years.
of shit, and
I feel like good
myself
conduct-
included, who had a good cookie. That doesn't mean
You just
anything.
need
I mean,
to more or less
you know what?
breathe.
You know what the good cookie ribbon means? That you're sneaky
You didn't
as
get
shit.
caught. Yeah.
You didn't get
Yeah.
caught.
Or
Yeah,
that
so you're smooth.
or that you picked punishment over paperwork. Like,
Right, yeah.
It's one of those two things. Overall, I wanted to include this in the show. One, because I'm seeing people poo-poo their service in a lot of these comments where they're like, none of this shit matters. Nobody gives a fuck. Yes, they do. They do care.
Absolutely does.
Like if you can formulate some of your experience, they are valuable. Whenever you get out and you like, say you're an enlisted leader and you're a sergeant, there's not very many other people that are non-military related that can say that they supervise a group of 20 folks. Like that just doesn't happen in a lot of other
Right. You
jobs
don't
at
get
24 years old.
You don't get you don't get in charge of 20 people till you're well far into your career. So to be able to say I was in charge of X amount of people at that age, that goes a long way. I actually had a guy the other day shoot me a
Perform
DM.
under pressure.
Yeah. He asked like, hey, I'm an artillery officer, but like, how does that translate, into the civilian world? Because we're not running around shooting artillery. And I said to him, listen, there are a few jobs in the military where there's like a 1-for-1, like chaps. If you wanted to go train, dogs for a K9 unit, a police force, yes, obviously that makes sense. If you were in med service and you're a doctor, yes, that makes sense. But a lot of this stuff, it's all the soft skills that you have that are transferable and not necessarily my ability to fire artillery. No, I can calmly say I've never fired artillery since leaving the military. And you just need to not poo-poo yourself, as Chap said, and really understand that what you did was very, very valuable, especially to civilian companies.
Yeah, don't look down on yourself. You did good things. That's all we want to say about round number 4. Let's move on to round number 5, which is a sad, sad story coming out of North Carolina. We just really want to mention it quickly because 2 Marines were killed in a rollover incident and 7 others were injured. 17 were injured on Wednesday when their 7-ton military vehicle rolled over while going too fast for a turn near Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. The stories and the details are coming out more and more. The families and next of kin are getting notified, but it's awful. There's got to be more. It's odd to me, and an organization in a military that really values operational risk management is still transporting people on public roads without seatbelts, with canvas tops, where if you flip over in a 7-ton, this is the result. And it has been for a long time. And the fact that you don't make safety changes, I mean, you have to wear a fucking flak jacket when you drive and a Kevlar when you drive it, but people are just tossed about willy-nilly in the back. You got to change that. Like, it's just that. And I'm shocked that Fort Leonard Wood hasn't had a major accident involve one of their cattle movers. Like, that shit's crazy that's how people get around on bases and around the country. So our thoughts go out to the folks and the Marines, the sailors that are involved, and the families that are involved as well. Let me
ask you a question. I'm sorry, really quickly. Like, what could the safety measure be if you're transporting people in a 2-ton?
To not do it anymore.
I guess that's the safety.
You have to do mission essential in a combat zone. Things happen. Like, not everything can be safe when you're in combat because you have to move in a way. There's no excuse for that, CONUS. None.
Yeah,
nothing.
Transport
getting
people in
them
buses or
from
something.
one spot to the next spot. There's no shot. It was actually urgent. None.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So All right, let's move on to save rounds and alibis. Nick, or actually, Kate, we'll start with you.
Yeah. No, just again, just reading stuff from that accident. And I feel like I say this every few episodes, but I know we're in peacetime now, sort of, but there's still so many people putting their lives on the line for training, and so many people out there that are, you know, I don't know, just thinking of everybody involved and sending out so much love. That's just terrible. So that's it for me.
All right, Kate's got to go. She's got baby mama drama. Or
Sorry,
she is
guys.
the baby mama. She's got some baby
Double
stuff
ear
to do.
infection.
Double
all
ear
that good stuff,
infection.
so sorry, guys.
He looks so sad. Thanks, Kate. We'll talk to you later. So Kate FaceTimed me from the doctor yesterday. Man, Cash's face looked like the sickest kid who ever lived. Just boogered the fuck up. His hair was sweaty, just absolutely disheveled. Looked like he just got off duty. Like he had been on barracks duty for 3 days. Like the dude just looked rough. So I was glad that he didn't have COVID. It was just a ear infection. So he throw some penicillin down his throat and it'll be good. Nick, what do you got for save rounds?
Save rounds. Just want to remind everyone, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're hovering still around the same towards 8K, but I would love to get to 10K if we could. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you subscribe, I'll give you a kiss, an internet kiss if you do it. Just let me know if you subscribe and I'll give you an internet kiss. Cons, what about you, pal?
We're in the middle of winter right now. I just watched a documentary recently that was really interesting, and I got jogged my memory when I read an article about Shaun White the other day. But there's a documentary on HBO Max called Dear Rider about Jake Burton, basically one of like the grandfather of snowboarding. That was really interesting. So if you're looking for a good documentary, that was very good. And then for Officers Corner today, I maybe you guys saw, maybe you didn't, but that coach from the Raiders who wrote a handwritten note to each one of his players.
You were gonna love that move.
Yeah. So Officers Corner, you know, it's not expensive. You know, have some stationery, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like super personal. You can get this stuff at a store and just have like your initial or whatever. But handwritten notes go such a long way. A quick little thank you, you know, a note to let a friend know you're thinking about them, or a note to congratulate someone. A handwritten note is a lost art, and I think it is something that really shows, if you want to show someone that you care about anything that has happened to them in their life, a handwritten note goes that way, because it takes more than the effort you put into a text or an email or even a phone call. So if you're looking to make an impact do something a little different, go against the grain, get yourself some stationery and write handwritten notes.
HW is a big handwritten note guy.
Big
time. Seth Moulton too. He's every time we've ever gone to his office, he's done a handwritten note and send it.
Yeah. And look at that. You're a living embodiment of what I'm talking about. You remember that. It's mindful.
For sure.
You would remember that more.
It's not
than
something that I'll ever do, because my penmanship is trash. And it would never ever get to the mailbox because I would forget a million times. But I do agree with what you're saying. I think that was a cool thing for him to do, especially when you're coming in as an intern. They fire the GM and you don't know if you're going to stick around as the coach, and just say to the players how much being their coach meant. I think that carries a lot of weight in a locker room.
Absolutely.
When people respect you as a person, they'll fight for you. I mean, and that's the same thing. That's what I was trying to say with that Sergeant Major on Twitter, where he's like, if you don't have leave, if you don't have whatever, you got to come to work and figure it out. That's what you have a family care plan for. You don't have to do that as a leader. You can be nice. Like, you can be kind and also firm. Like, whenever, because I do think having people who are just pushovers and let you do whatever, I was always tough on all my Marines, always. But if they had something actually going on, it was fine with me if they went somewhere else. And because I was going to get my time back. The military is going to get your time back. It's not a diner in New Jersey where it's going to close down, where PFC Johnson being out for a week is going to fuck up the entire United States. It doesn't matter. If you're not and that's what I said in the tweet originally, was if it's not mission essential and somebody's kid's sick, why not allow them to be a good parent? Because you're not going to be at appropriate worker anyway. Like, whenever you're at work and you're thinking about your sick kid and who's watching your sick kid, you're not thinking about work and being the best soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine. Like,
not at all. And then tell you what, you know, we're talking about that accident. You know, that's when accidents happen. When a soldier or a Marine's focus is not on what they're supposed to be doing, that's when accidents can happen. So, you know, I don't think it's too big of a stretch to say that, you know, distracting them and having them worried about their kids is going to deter from their work. So just be mindful of that you need their 100% focus when they're working.
And my save round is yesterday, somebody sent me a fitness report for the Marine Corps, which is like the NCOERs. And they sent me the portion of it where it's called the Christmas tree, and you get graded on a scale of Christmas trees for Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. It's really silly explaining to somebody that's not in the Marine Corps of what it actually looks like, but it looks like a Christmas tree of Eagle, Globe, and Anchors. And the small part at the bottom is for shit bags, like you're terrible. And then there's a top, it's basically a diamond shape. The middle part of the diamond that you go across, that means you're basically average. And as you go higher and higher, you could be the star on the Christmas tree is essentially where it was at. And I hadn't seen the Christmas tree in a long time. So I was like, I'm going to go Google or go into my Gmail and look for my old fitness reports and read them. Like I haven't read them in a long time. And that shit gave me a pick me up, man. I was feeling so good after reading it. Because it was like it's been so long since I'd seen it or read anything really from people who knew just me then. And I was like, hell yeah. Like going through your old stuff, it'll make you feel good, man. Because everything's written flowery, really.
Yes.
So if you have any awards, it's going to make you sound like you're the greatest person ever. But it was very, very fun. And I'd say rewarding, like looking back and be like, shit, man, when I was fucking doing it, I was doing it.
I mean, that goes back to what you said before. You don't have to poo-poo yourself. If you had a nice career in the military, be proud of that. And that's not to say you need to take up a billboard and buy ad space and tell everybody, but
I might put it up there. I might put it on my Instagram account where my colonel said I was the best sergeant in 25 years of service that he's ever seen.
You can do that too.
What a compliment. That's from a guy who played linebacker at Penn State, Cons.
Yes, I know. I remember. So
that was
very
fun.
Nice.
We'll be back on Tuesday. Hopefully everybody in Kate's house will be healthy and happy. Back at it again. Hopefully everybody stays warm with all this insane weather. But if you're not, just masturbate a lot. If you're not warm, just beat it out and you'll get warmed up right away. Easy, simple. And then go buy a home with CCM. Simple as that. While you're drinking a whiskey.
Because that's the natural progression of events.
Yeah, jerk off and buy a home. Be a man. It's on the retreat.